Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today, I was I went to a few comic book store places. I went to this one. They really didn't have much of anything. Then we went to this other one, and I gotta say, this other comic book store place will now be my main comic book store place that I go to because holy shit, the amount of stuff that they had. They had aisles on top of aisles on top of aisles of stuff. From old school Star Wars, horror movies, Godzilla, wrestling, TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Beavis and Butthead. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. If you're wondering, what is the comic book store place that you went to? Well, it's called Big Ben's Comic X, something like that. Somewhere around there. Big Ben's Comic X. They have this huge statue of Batman, Harley Quinn. They had this big Chucky doll, big Pennywise doll, big Annabelle. I mean, this humongous doll of the Saw puppet from the Saw movie, Billy the Puppet. When they had a huge gremlin, the amount of stuff they had in there for actual collector, you're like, holy fuck, this is a good comic book store. Well, I was looking around, and I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to spend almost $200 in this damn store, but I said no. I can't do that. I'm gonna make my budget at least $15 to $20. That's it. I was looking around, looking at things. It was hard, not gonna lie. I was going back to the wrestling aisle because they had this huge wrestling aisle. I was going back to like the two-section horror movie aisle, going back between those, this big horror movie aisle. I was like, well, then I seen a bunch of Godzilla stuff. I was like, well, you know what? I haven't collected anything Godzilla in a long while. It's been a while. And I seen this figure and brought back some memories. So basically, this is kind of a story, if, in a sense, of why I rebought this figure. Well, when I was a little kid, when I was young, I had two of this particular Godzilla. It was from the Bandai Creations line. It was in the Final Wars styled packaging. You could get, the figures back at KB Toys, Toys R Us, Walmart, back in the day. Well, I seen the figure, and I was like, oh, I remember I used to have that figure. Both of the ones I had broke because this particular Godzilla I would use for, my childhood figure feds, for him to face off against King Ghidorah, Gigan, Mechagodzilla, you name it. This was the main Godzilla figure that I would use out of any other, incarnation of Godzilla, that I had as a kid. And I had a lot, don't get me wrong. I still do, I still have all my figures. But, I seen this and I was like, man, I don't have this figure, I've been waiting to get another one for a while to replace the other two that have broken. I was looking at it and I looked at the price tag. They wanted $19 and 90 cents or something. Not that bad. So I picked it up, and that figure is, well, I'll get back to the actual story. So I went over to a buddy's house, or some buddy's house, I don't know, some dude I used to hang out with, and he liked dinosaurs, he liked monsters, and Godzilla, and blah, blah, blah. Somewhere around there. And, he's a big fan of that type of stuff. And, I was like, well, you know what, he doesn't really have a lot of Godzilla figures, he's not, doesn't have much. I was like, well, I'll let him play with my Final Wars Godzilla. What's the worst that can happen? So all day he's playing with it, doesn't break, doesn't crack, absolutely nothing. This other one I had already broken because, I'm not gonna lie, when I was young I used to play pretty hard with my figures. I'm not gonna sit there and lie. Well, I let him play with it. Right before we get to leave, he's playing with the final word's Godzilla, which is, and then he was playing with, I think, I don't know, King Caesar. I still have the original King Caesar, or I don't know, some other Godzilla monster, that he was having them battle. And just so as we're about to leave out the door, I'm about to get all my stuff together, he drops it from the counter, because he's playing with them on the counter. He drops the Godzilla from the counter, the top part of the mouth cracks and breaks, a dorsal fin, couple of dorsal fins crack and break. And I'm like, well, here, you could just have it. I took all my other ones and the other figure that he was playing with, I put them all back in my baggie that I had, and I went on home. Well, this is like 10 years later now, like 5, not even, yeah, it's about like 10 to maybe even 15 years later now. And I finally have the Godzilla again. Now, it's not in the box, it's not in the Final Wars styled packaging, but this is basically what the figure looks like. You know, try to get his feet up a little bit. But yeah, this is the basically somewhat of what the Godzilla that I had. It has this little tag on the back. Again, mine did not have a tag. It was in an actual like box and whatnot. The Final War styled packaging, but I don't, this is basically it. And it'll be added good to my collection. But yeah. So this one won't be, played with. I don't really play with much of any of my stuff anymore. Maybe besides my wrestling stuff time from time. Yeah, I fucking admit, I don't give a shit. But yeah, he'll go great on my top shelf there, and have some of my other Godzilla stuff explained, and yeah. So that's that. That's the story. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more.